Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm back with another video. Today we're gonna react to basically recently, bro, there's been rumors that whether they're good or bad, I'll let y'all decide. But there's rumors that Tobey Maguire is gonna come back in Avengers Doomsday, which to me is amazing. He's my favorite Spider-Man ever. But it does come with a catch. So apparently the Fox X-Men universe and Tobey Maguire's Sam Raimi's universe are gonna have like a whole clash where basically Toby is basically gonna have to like 1v20 these X-Men's. Like legit 1v20 each and every single one of them fighting for which universe stays and which universe goes. Cause this whole like insurgent thing that happens where universe just like disappears, blows up, whatever. So that's basically what the rumor is. Now, for this video, I saw it on my 40 page. I was like, yeah, I have to react to it. So basically, could Tobey Spider-Man, not Tom Holland's, not Andrews, but Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man actually solo the X-Men? Let's check it out.
Tobey Maguire is
Mind you,
back
it's
in
the
the
Fox's
public
X-Men.
limelight due to people discussing his rumored role in Avengers Doomsday, with the leading rumor being that Tobey has to come face to face with the Fox X-Men in order to save his universe. And I've seen a lot of edits or reels talking about this potential fight.
I seen this
people
one.
are hyping up Tobey because firstly, he's the GOAT, and second of all, they think it's going to be a grand last stand. As for my feelings on the subject and just discourse, who said anything about a last stand? This is the GOAT after all. I think he's got a decent chance of clutching this one up.
Yeah, Patriots did it, coach. We can do this. The Patriots did 27-3. We can do this.
If you don't believe me, let me prove it. As today, I'm going to be talking about Tobey's chances against the Fox X-Men. So to all you Tobey fans just preparing the funeral arrangements, let me cook for a second. But before that, be sure to subscribe to the channel if this topic interests you. We do things like this all the time here on the channel, whether that's short form content or long form content. I do this all the time. So be sure to subscribe. It's free after all. Be sure to like the video as well as hype it up. These two small actions, really 100 likes within the way. Tobey Maguire has been in 4 cinematic Spider-Man films, which included an entire trilogy before the MCU was even a thing. So you can imagine he has a plethora of scaling that he would get before his return in No Way Home. So I guess as a baseline, we'll talk about what the original trilogy brought to the table, and as for part 2, we'll talk about how No Way Home pretty much changed everything. So let's just get started. As a baseline, Spider-Man will be around wall to small building level, or just building level, seeing as how his infamous train halt has been recorded to be around wall level in terms of what would be required to replicate what he did. I want to know that the train feat shouldn't be really used to gauge Tobey's full capabilities, because during this scene his powers were wavering, the whole movie is mentally conflicted. So yeah, you shouldn't use this to
Bro, I just looking at these clips, it just reminds me how beautiful that Spider-Man, that classic Spider-Man costume on Tobey Maguire's looks, bro. Especially how muscular his Spider-Man was, bro. It just amazing.
Would at peak, especially seeing as how as early as the events of the previous movie, Spider-Man was able to survive a pumpkin bomb, with these pumpkin bombs being shown to be capable of just being so potent that they vaporize a group of half a dozen people, which would put these bombs yield in those building level ranges. Tobey takes that right to the face and he's able to just survive it. So yeah, he doesn't cap out at wall level. For some more stuff now, during Spider-Man 1, since we're already talking about it, Green Goblin pretty much calls Peter Parker impossible to beat in a 1v1 encounter after just 2 meetings with him. This is telling us Green Goblin has bombs that have been calculated to be in those large building level ranges, and we see in Spider-Man 3 his leftover tech is shown to be capable of melting a portion of a giant Sandman's arm, which also gets the power of his weaponry in those large building level ranges. For some more consistency, by the end of Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man is able to survive multiple bloodlusted blows from Sandman and his giant kaiju state.
Bro, and he was getting choked out on that scene too.
Prior is able to generate earthquakes that are felt throughout the entire New York City subway. This subway is one of the biggest and busiest train systems in the world, with it having well over 200 stops under its belt and it covering over 600 total miles in terms of tracks. So to shake this amount of space to the point where it's noticeable around would require an insane amount of energy. And due to this calculation by Lucy Agenda on Reddit, this person was able to calculate that Sandman would have needed.
Bro, I love it when we have nerds that be like calculating these types of things, like in movies and stuff. Like I like how they do the whole math and how crazy, or like the power level. Like I just like people who actually do statistics on these power scalings, on these type of power scaling videos. I like it. I love it.
Generate energy equivalent to as
Very
low as
insightful.
4.7 tons of TNT to even as high as over 150 tons of TNT. So that's anywhere between large building to multi-city block. So as a mid-ball, let's just say that Sandman's around city block. We know that Spider-Man should scale to a casual Sandman showings due to his scaling to him while he's a giant kaiju, as well as him upskilling tech that is able to critically injure him. Adding on to my point now, Spider-Man also has some more city block level scaling, as during Spider-Man 2, he's able to stop the gravitational pull of a small star, with it pulling objects all towards New York. Spider-Man is able to stop a big wall in its tracks that's right by the star's gravitational pull, with this instance being calculated to be around city block level plus. So remember when I said don't cap Spider-Man at that wall level train feat? He has way better stuff when he's in a way better mental state later in the film.
That's crazy, because like majority of people who do power scaling videos, like I saw one about like before No Way, I mean, yeah, No Way Home, or like all three Spider-Mans were together. Before that, there was like a video of power scaling on which Spider-Man was stronger, Tom Holland's, Andrew's, and Tobey's. And the number one thing that they always, in those type of videos, that they always show is the train scene. And I'm like, bro, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man has done way more impressive like strength level things than just the train scene. Not a lot of them bring up the whole this scene too. Barely any of them brings up this. They say that like the most impressive thing that Tobey Maguire has done is stopping the train, which is like nah, he's done way more than that.
There are some higher ends for the Raimi verse in general, but I think this is where he kind of caps consistently. So let's just move on to speed. All throughout the original trilogy, Tobey is shown to be a bullet timer, but in terms of gauging where his speed would be, we get the best look at it during the events of Spider-Man 1, where we see his whole perception, in which everyone in the school is just moving in a slow motion snail-like pace, with it being calculated that Spider-Man would have perceptions at worst in those supersonic plus ranges. But keep in mind, once again, this is a Tobey Maguire who just got powers, still getting used to it, so obviously he got faster over time. This is just a baseline, a gauge, if you will. Also, I'm aware that the Spider-Man's Raimiverse saga has games and supplementary material in which Spider-Man dodges electricity and light and lasers and stuff, but I don't really want to use all that stuff, and I won't need to, considering how much No Way Home changed everything. So let's just get into that. Even though Tobey Maguire isn't in too much of No Way Home, his short time in the MCU was enough for him to get a crazy upscale. And that's because the past rogues of his film are pretty much the main focus of No Way Home, with Doc Ock and Green Goblin being the most prevalent villains in the entire, just movie. This is important because if you remember, Green Goblin stated that a rookie Tobey with only a couple weeks of experience was pretty much impossible to beat in a 1v1 fight. So he had to resort to mentally draining Spider-Man and putting him in crazy predicaments to probably, maybe, hopefully get an opening. So that's insane considering that this Green Goblin saw Tom Holland Spider-Man and was just laughing at his punches and easily overpowered.
Bro, that scene was crazy. Seeing that in the theater, and every time they go down the building, you hear that big like
of all of his previous suits, and instead to just combine the best aspects of all of his prior stuff, which would include the Iron Spider, which bumps up his stats, being durability and yes, AP. But before we dive into the ramifications of that, I want to talk about a base Tom, because what we already talked about means that Tobey Loki upscales Tom in general. So let's just talk about where Tom was scaling base. This is a character who's able to pretty much halt blows from Cull Obsidian, a character who was bullying a Mark 50 Iron Man. Now, I know a lot of people like to scale Tom above Cull Obsidian. I think that's a little bit crazy, but I think that Tom being able to stop blows that are capable of sending the Mark 50 crazy far back, I think that would mean that Tom would be around town level, upscaling just phase 1 Iron Man feats, especially due to how much we know Tony improves on each suit. So yeah, Tobey's already up there. He's already town level now because of that upscaling. But let's talk about the Iron Spider scaling chain, because low-key Tobey upscales that as well. We already know that the suit amps up Tom's stats, but according to word of God, it's actually in the same ballpark of power as the Mark 50 suit worn by Iron Man during the events of Infinity War, with this suit being durable enough to survive a portion of a moon just being thrown at it, with it being determined that Iron Man withstood energy equivalent to what would be required to destroy an entire island just by surviving this impact. There's also the fact that Tony's suit is able to draw blood from Thanos, and yeah, no, that don't sound too impressive on paper, but considering this is a guy who can destroy the Tesseract without even flinching, drawing blood from him goes a long way, especially considering that crushing the Tesseract has been calculated to be a large country level feat. Iron Man can draw blood from Thanos, and the Iron Spider suit is shown to at least affect Thanos when he's being punched by Spider-Man. He gets sent back a bit. But once again, all this is just a Tobey upscale, because during No Way Home, Dr. Octopus is able to rip apart chunks off of the Iron Spider, considering how we already have iron level durability for a suit in the same ballpark.
Bro, are we really counting that though? Because it isn't even stated in the movie that the nanobites or whatever they call those, the material they used to make that armor, was responding to Doctor Octopus, Doctor Ock's you know, his freaking iron arms, whatever, right? His like, you know what I mean? They were literally responding, and they were literally like, his arms, his robotic arms were absorbing the nanotech on Tom Holland's suit. So are we really counting that? Because I don't think he ripped it off. I feel like the nanobite just like, just started absorbing Doctor Ox's arms.
As the Iron Spider and that potential country level stuff, and you got Doc Ock just ripping chunks out of the suit itself. Yeah, that's a Tobey upscale. I'm not
Oh
gonna
no, he
lie.
did rip
We
it
even
on
have
that
some
scene.
more blatant comparisons. We see that Tom in the Iron Spider suit just can't overpower Doc Ock in his arms, whereas Tobey, while immensely nerfed, can just bust out of the same grip. So unironically, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is at bare minimum an Iron Man level character in the MCU. Tobey also gets new speed stuff just due to scaling to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, a character who can attack Thanos, who in himself can react to light-based attacks multiple times throughout Infinity War and Endgame. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Tobey got a crazy bump in stats due to No Way Home. So in the original trilogy, he capped out at around city block, but due to his MCU scaling, at worst, he would be around town level, and at best, he would be around large country level, just due to his
What does this
scaling
even
to the
mean
Iron
though? What does
Spider
town and country level mean?
suits that are said to be in the same ballpark. So with that being said, let's head on to the competition. Speaking of the competition, look at this. Do you notice someone? Yeah, this cast is pretty weak, I'm not gonna lie. That's why I've been saying this whole time, don't sleep on Tobey, because off rip, this team is missing two of its most powerful members. Where is Storm? Where's Jean Grey? And don't worry, according to the
Jean
actresses,
died.
these are not people that are in the film. This is already great for Tobey, as Jean Grey is ironically a planetary character, with her flares alone stated to shine brighter than any known star. On top of that, we've seen the Phoenix Force, in which she harnesses destroy entire planets, and in the X-Men Last Stand novelization, it stated she was going to break the planet down to a molecular or subatomic level. So the fact that this is a character that Tobey doesn't have to worry about means that we good, off rip. Another one we talked about not being here is Storm, a character who can generate Category 6 hurricanes, with these hurricanes being generated at lightning speeds, as well as these storms being 40,000 feet high, which would already get her stuff in the multi-continental ranges. So if she was able to hit Spider-Man with a thunderbolt, that would probably just fry him, I'm not gonna lie. But seeing as how she's not in this movie,
But low key though, like it's already stated that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, who's in his second movie was dodging lightning attacks from Electro, it's already been stated in No Way Home that Tobey Maguire not only is quicker but has a faster reaction time than Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man. Especially when that scene where they were both like shooting webs at each other, and he got his web shooters. Like, nah, bro. Toby's definitely dodging these lightning strikes.
Tobey, you're good, times two. And this isn't the end of Spider-Man's look, as one of the most powerful members, Charles Xavier, has a lot of good evidence, even in the first trailer, that would suggest that he's not partaking in this fight. With the first trailer of Doomsday showing him just flinch at a planet dying, with this planet being speculated to possibly maybe be Tobey's. So the fact that he's not on the battlefield means that, Spider-Man, you're kind of lucky, I'm not gonna lie. So with three powerhouses likely not even contributing to this fight, let's turn our attention to the X-Men that are actually here out on the battlefield. I think it's most appropriate to talk about Scott Summers, the de facto leader of the X-Men, and where he would scale. Obviously, he gets his best stuff from his optic blast, which is capable of cleaving through entire mountains to a multi-city block level yield. And that's pretty much all the scaling he gets, so off rip, he's a Tobey victim. But there is a possible upscale for him, because we do have some rumored fights that are taking place in Doomsday, and Scott might
Hold on, what are these fights?
Because we do have some rumored fights that are taking place.
Mr. Fantastic and Nightcrawler. Loki, that could be a good fight. Gambit and okay, this is good. Yeah, Mystique, we already saw in each other. Captain America and Cyclops. That's Loki, an interesting one. But yet again, is this actually like our version of Captain America or like a different version of Captain America? Because I'm pretty sure in the comics, Captain America, like the person Steve Rogers was two different heroes. I think I saw that somewhere. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's true though. Professor X and Sentry. Hmm. Now that that God, that would be a good fight. Mine over mine right there. Captain Marvel with Cyclops, Captain America versus Doom. They're all getting wiped. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
in Doomsday, and Scott might get an upscale as
Yo,
he's scheduled to
those
fight
fights, if
Captain
they actually happen,
America,
they'll be
with
fire. I'm
Captain
not gonna
America
lie
at
to
this
you.
particular moment of time being pretty much covered by vibranium, where that's his suit or all of his various tech. So if Cyclops is able to melt or just do anything to Cap's suit, then that's a possible upscale for the optic blast, and it would fry Tobey. But seeing as how this wing con kind of just would only scale to his lasers, and it relies on how he would do in a hypothetical fight. And yeah, you can see why I'm a little hesitant to say that he would outright beat Tobey, even with the hypothetical upscale. Because I mean, Tobey can dodge the laser, and Spider-Man is way stronger than Scott's base durability. From here, I guess I'm gonna be talking about Gambit now, a character who pretty much has nothing due to the fact that he was retconned into this universe due to the events of Wolverine and Deadpool. And I like that movie, and Gambit's pretty cool in it, but he doesn't do anything except for beat up minions and blow up things. Like, I don't know, like small building level. And due to him having no history in Fox, he doesn't have any feats for us to pull from, really. But there is one possible upscale he's fiending on at the moment, and that's basically his fight with Shang-Chi, which is a rumored thing that's seemingly confirmed via the first trailer. And I've seen some people say that this would make Gambit Shang-Chi level, and I mean, I don't know. Shang-Chi's not even really trying super crazy, and if anything, he's just using the rings to
Nah,
block all of
Gambit is
Gambit's
change
stuff.
is
So I mean, does
level,
this
bro.
really
They're
show
the same levels,
relativity, or
bro.
does this prove the notion that Shang-Chi is
I
more
hope I
above
hope they make Gambit like I hope they make him powerful. I'm not gonna lie to you,
if he's just using his wrist to block all of Shang-Chi's
cause
attacks? So yeah, I'm not gonna
his
lie,
powers are
Toby will
actually
probably
pretty
beat this
fire.
guy too. I'm not even gonna waste my time talking about the jobbers being Mystique, Nightcrawler, and just throw Beast in there as well. These are all like just barely superhuman characters, with Beast in the alternate timeline to Days of Future Past actually getting killed by a group of people. Like 20 regular people pull Beast out of the house and then beat him to death. So yeah, that's just not happening to Toby. From here, we're gonna switch the focus to some more rumored X-Men that are in this film, and two names that I'm hearing being thrown around all the time are Wolverine and Deadpool, with these two really only being the most consistently named characters to participate in this hypothetical opening to Avengers Doomsday. So let's go over Wolverine and what he brings to the table. In terms of his base stats, he would be in those multi-C block level ranges.
Bro, the thing about Deadpool and Wolverine is that you can't really kill them. You can only really like trap them. Even then, Wolverine has some claws, bro. Like his adamantium claws can just rip through anything.
As he can swap hands and endure beatings from Sabretooth, who can survive Scott's optic beams. And Wolverine himself has an instance in which he's able to physically divert Deadpool's lasers, which have been calculated to yield such results. And
But is this movie even canon? Like, I don't even think they made this movie canon.
where he would physically cap in terms of stats. So like his blows and what he can physically endure would be around those multi-city block level stuff. But as for his claws, these have always been a crutch for him, as they allow him to pierce and fight people way above his pay grade. And I mean, can you honestly be surprised? This stuff is made out of adamantium. Fun fact for you guys, adamantium in the MCU is actually the same metal substance that Celestials are made out of. Celestials literally just tank planetary explosions just by being born. So Wolverine's claws being made out of metal that can survive planets just blowing up point blank on top of it is pretty nuts. It's also kind of an upscale for Deadpool, because even though his physicals are worse than Wolverine's, he does have swords made out of the same metal. So if either of these guys got a good hit on Tobey, it might actually kill him. But I still lean towards Tobey for a couple of reasons. That being the fact that Deadpool Wolverine's base AP and durability are kind of poopy compared to Tobey's. Like, yeah, they got weapons that can kill him, but are they realistically getting that good hit in? I don't think so. Because even though these characters are all relative in terms of speed, because X-Men can react to laser-based attacks, Tobey still has an advantage, that being his spider sense. So even though they're relative in speed, Spider-Man has sort of a pseudo precognition that he uses in combat. So I think that Tobey just sends these guys flying with any of his base punches. Because while Wolverine's bones are made out of adamantium, his skin isn't, his organs isn't, and we've seen him get thrown around by weaker characters. So yeah.
But the thing is, it's not even about that. It's like, how is Toby gonna stop them? Obviously, I don't think they can. I don't think any of them can stop Toby. But how is Toby like the only one he could probably stop between those two is Deadpool. But Wolverine with them claws, bro, I don't think he's gonna be able to web him, because he's gonna easily Wolverine's easily gonna break out of them with his claws.
that's what's most likely going to happen in this situation. So unironically, of the confirmed / rumored lineup of the X-Men, Tobey would beat these guys fairly easily. He kind of just knocks most of them out, and the ones that could give him problems, he just would never be able to tag them. But wait, I haven't talked about one guy.
Magneto.
The strongest member of the mutant faction in Avengers Doomsday that we've seen seems to be Magneto, a character who in the Fox continuity is able to move the magnetic elements of the planet Earth itself, which consistently gets calculated to be in those large country to multi-continental ranges. And I'll be honest with you guys, this one right here, he might be a problem for Tobey. And according to Ian, the actor of Magneto, in this film, he actually pulls a Chief Keef and destroys New Jersey. And considering this possible Tobey vs. X-Men fight is taking place on Peters, New York, which is right by New Jersey, we might now know why Magneto is destroying New Jersey in Avengers Doomsday. It's not his New Jersey. And that's the thing with Magneto. He's way stronger than Peter Parker, and he doesn't really have the morals as the other X-Men. I can see some of the X-Men kind of being hesitant about their whole situation of pulling up to these planets in order to destroy them to save their own.
Bro, if it's for X-Men kind, he's a demon.
People first. I don't care what I have to do it. So on top of him being way stronger than Peter Parker, he's not caring about the collateral of the whole situation. I could see him just overwhelming Peter due to pulling all the city blocks and endangering dozens of people, if not hundreds of people, if not thousands. And at that point, Peter's fighting two battles. He's got to worry about saving the civilians while just maneuvering and having to box with essentially an entire city because of Magneto's control of metal. Combine that with some of the other jobbers that are rumored to be walking around, and that might be enough to do Peter in. So unfortunately, even though I am the biggest Tobey fan that I know, I couldn't cheese away from him to win this fight realistically, honestly. But hey, I take some solace knowing in the fact that if he is destined to lose, he's going to go out swinging. And if anything, it took the one non-X-Men to actually beat him. But Tobey, Spider-Man, if you're listening to this, you're welcome to surprise me. Either way, you'll be back for Secret Wars, and we will all be there to see.
So is that actually like confirmed he's gonna be in Secret Wars? Like, is that actually like confirmed?
You return in your glorious glory. As you guys can tell, I'm
Cause I be hearing that, but I haven't seen anything about confirming it though.
I've unfortunately got the X-Men in this situation. But hey, if you like,
I'm not. It's just too much people. Like, I generally don't think realistically you can stop that many people, especially how because X-Men are not even like they're no slouch. They have powers like. Especially Cyclops. I feel like he kind of overrated Cyclops' ability because Cyclops is like an Omega level mutant. Like, he's really powerful with his beams. And even that, if they had Storm and Jean Grey, yeah, it would have been over instantly. And if Professor X gets involved, could he control Tobey's mind? Who knows? Because Tom Holland was able to get out of control, but that was just MCU versions of Jean Grey. So I don't know about that. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. I hope it doesn't happen, but if it does happen, I want Tobey to win, obviously. I want them to randomly upskill his powers. But I feel like they wouldn't even kill off Tobey. I feel like what they would do is like they're battling, and then in the heat of the battle, when stuff's about to end, Professor X randomly pulls up and stops everyone. I don't know. I feel like that's something they would do. Hey, but let me know what you all react to next, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.